And typically in these sort of projects, things are, especially if you're conservative in your future cash flow projections, things are close. So you may be pretty likely to accept that otherwise a project that should be unprofitable otherwise. That's one effect. And the second effect, even if the project would have been profitable at 15%, you're giving people incentives, your people incentives to work on projects that are riskier. Because I'm gonna do, what we kind of call these things moonshots. Okay, you go into this project. If you're lucky, you're gonna make a lot of money. If you're not lucky, your firm is gonna lose a lot of money. So I'm gonna take very risky thing. Let's say proper discount rate is 25%. In that case, I would have been overestimating the future cash flows or the present value of future cash flows by 72%, right? Almost double. So as an employee who wants to, you're gambling. And there's kind of in economics, we call this a moral hazard. It's not necessarily immoral that you do it. Your company actually gives you incentives to do this. So if I'm lucky, I'm going to be the famous guy, right? I got this project done and I made my company a lot of money. In many cases, for tech companies, these kinds of people have a lot of stock options. I mean, think of Elon Musk in 2012. Okay. Has anybody given a lot of chance to Tesla in 2012? It was somewhat of a novelty. Okay. Oh, there was a Democratic administration. So the entire idea of an electric car was also politically convenient. This guy also had a track record. He was the guy behind PayPal. And there was one more thing. He made money off of those things. So he's a winner. And this was before the split. Tesla gave him stock options at $12 a share. Okay. And 10 years after that, around 2022, these options have typically a 10-year life. If you don't exercise these options, they expire worthless. And he had to actually exercise these options, and the stock price was close to $1,000. So essentially, uh, what was your name? One more person came in. I know you, but one more person. Huh? Oh, okay. Brooklyn. I was wondering where you are because you don't have much of a attendance issue. I know it's cold outside. You should have seen my afternoon class. I have 16 people on that section. I think only 8 were here, but it was snowing. In Boston, we would be embarrassed to call it dusting. Let me put it that way. If it's below 4 inches in Boston, snowfall is called a dusting. I've seen 2 feet of snow in one day. This was in, I think, 94. In my first year in the United States, uh, I'm from Istanbul. It's somewhat of a northern latitude, 41st, 42nd north latitude. We are at 38th latitude here. Boston is a lot more northern than that, but hey, had never been to US. Remember, this is 1987. We don't have internet yet. We barely had email. An email sent from Boston College to My alma mater actually took 2 days to arrive because there were these hubs, things were collected, then sent in batches and stuff like that. So you guys don't know how easy you have it. There was no instant messaging or anything like that. And the Veterans Day was a holiday at Boston College, no classes. So I decided that I'm going to visit a friend of mine in Princeton. He was going to grad school in Princeton. I'm in Boston. Took the Amtrak train. I go there. I'm coming back. I left on Thursday, but I'm coming back on Monday. And Tuesday, I have a 9 o'clock class. And we're about half an hour to Boston. Snow started. This is November 11th. Okay. And I look at it, man, it's coming up very heavy. By the time I got home, there was at least 6 inches of snow on the ground. Being from Istanbul, 6 inches of snow means roads are closed for 3 days. So there's no way there's any class tomorrow. So I didn't even put up any uh, alarm clock. I get up in the morning at 10 and I open the windows. All the roads are clean because they were ready. The first time in Kentucky, I've seen 6 inches of snow, no school for 3 days. This is University of Kentucky, not even EKU. All right. So because of that moral hazard, you provide moral hazard incentives. You provide to your employees. They take on risky projects. So that's pretty much what Elon Musk did. I mean, maybe he genuinely thought that this business was going to succeed. I'm not necessarily sure it has succeeded, but you can't deny the fact that the guy is now worth about $500 billion. Well, a lot of different reasons. SpaceX was another one of those, which is not a public company yet. Even when it was established, Google was somewhat of a moonshot. When Google was established in 1998, these two Google guys, Sergey and Larry, they were PhD students in computer science at Stanford, and they could not afford to hire an admin and at a competitive wage. Remember, this is San Francisco area. Life is not cheap. Let me give you an idea. Let's say you live in a two-bedroom apartment here. If it's a decent two-bedroom apartment, you're probably paying $1,000 a month. That means there's also some amenities in it. The same apartment with the same kind of amenities would cost you at least $5,000 a month, maybe six in San Francisco area. It's horrible. They tell her, okay, we'll pay you about half the competitive wage, but we're gonna give you free stock in the company. When Google went IPO in 2004, this lady was worth over $20 million. It's a moonshot, right? But doing a practice like that gives incentives to your employees or management to take on risky projects. Think about Elon Musk. Let's say Tesla failed as a company. What's going to happen to him? He didn't put much of his own money anyway. He was the guy who put the money together from other investors. He was the CEO. What is he going to lose? Not much. Then he can go on to the next business, which happened to be SpaceX later on. So you're given kind of uh, perverse incentives to employees to take unnecessary risks. Unfortunately, some companies actually do this in order to minimize bureaucracy. You tell them, as long as you hit our hurdle rate, go do whatever you want. It's good in my regard, but you also need to pay attention to what sort of risk companies are taking. Companies that do that use that kind of policy become riskier and riskier over time. I mean, maybe that's why Tesla is not doing that well. Don't get me wrong, their stock price is doing okay. That doesn't mean business is doing okay. We can actually check. Come on. Okay. Let's just look at the financials. I'm going to look at annual numbers. Okay, I got them. And let's just look at total revenue. Okay, 21 to 22. These are post-COVID years, so there's an expansion. After that, it's pretty much stalled. And the last trailing 12 months, it's actually gone down.